Now I can take it apart one more time. I tell you, building these custom cars, you have to assemble and disassemble everything 100 times. I've spent hours now dreaming up these brackets. Now, dreaming is something that you just do when you're lying there or sitting down somewhere. And I've been, marking and measuring and drilling and cutting and fitting and taking off and refitting and carrying on like a mad thing. It's been a whole freaking production to get this far. So it's all to do with this thing. Here's a brake booster. This one from my Isuzu donor truck. This one has had it though. These threads are stripped and it's also got oil in it, which means that there was an issue with a vacuum pump on that Isuzu. Yes, it was a diesel one, hence the vacuum pump. So I'm just using this one for a mock-up, and then I'll get a new one later on. So let me show you why I've been spending all that time to come up with some rather intricate bracketry to mount that booster in here. So check in here and you can see that there's rather limited space here. I mean, the engine is not very far away from the firewall. Now traditionally the booster would sort of sit there. But now of course it's not going to work in this case, because if it sits there, then you will not be able to take off the tappet cover. So a popular option is to use an underfloor brake pedal and booster kit, like this one you see right here. But that's not going to work for me. I mean, the space that I have between the floor of the truck and the ground when the truck is fully slammed is only about 6.5 inches. And if I can remember correctly, on those kits the diameter of the booster is about 7.5 inches. So that's not going to work for me. It's not an option for me. Besides, I would have to import that thing at great expense and trouble. So my plan is to mount the stock Isuzu master cylinder like this, and then I have the brake booster on the inside of the firewall underneath the dashboard. And then if it's, when I've got this, I will still be able to take off that tappet cover, valve cover, whatever you want to call it. I will buy a new master cylinder, just using this one for now to mock everything up. I mean, it's good to have everything on your whole braking system all proper and good. So this is the stock setup, and then this side would bolt to the firewall, and then obviously that would go through the firewall and onto your brake pedals bracketry. But now I'm going to do it a little bit different. So this will sit on the inside of the firewall, and there's the hole in the firewall, and then this comes onto the firewall then from the engine side, that we end up with the firewall sitting there. So when I stripped the Isuzu donor truck, I did cut out this whole brake pedal assembly before I sold what was left to the junkyard. So now if you look at this now, normally this would be where the firewall sits. Now this contraption, instead of I'm not going to have a firewall in my case. Now remember, my firewall is where the table is. So then this will go on like here and sit something like that. And my challenge was to make sure that this whole thing is mounted very strong and solidly inside the truck, so that it can't move when you brake hard, obviously. So I needed to connect this to the inside of the truck in a strong way. Okay, so let me assemble my puzzle to make sure everything works out. This plate will fit right there. Then it will get sandwiched by the pedal assembly. That fits like this. This obviously gets bolted on. Then this bracket will go there. Bolted. Another bolt there. So far so good. And then I've got another one for this side that will go on right there. Bolt, bolt, and another bolt right through here. And then this right here, that's going to bolt to the dashboard, which I have beefed up and strengthened. I'll show you just now. Right, so I've got all my bolts tightened up. And we can go and try this thing, see how it fits. Yeah, just looking at it now, you know what? Essentially, my contraption is just a repositioned, let me try that word again, repositioned section of the firewall, if you think about it. Now to fit all this by myself, by my lonesome self, it's a freaking challenge, but it looks that I'm somehow managing. Just get a nut on there and then I can let go, reaching into blind spaces with long arms here. Yes. So let me just get these bolts in and then I can see if I can show you what's going on in this rusty hole. Come on, where did it go? Whoop whoop, it's in. Right, so that's what it looks like in here. If you'll pardon my permanently skew finger, this is the bottom of the dashboard, right there. And now you'll see there I bolted on a reinforcing piece to strengthen it up. This is a piece of, what is it now, I think 30 by 6 flat bar, about 1.25 inches by 1/4. That runs all the way along. And then my brake booster bracket contraption is bolted through there and then also there. And then obviously here on this side where it goes through the firewall, it's also bolted. So I think it will be plenty strong enough. Let's see. Yeah man, this feels plenty good. Yes. Yeah, and the bracketry is not visible here from a sitting position. You have to crawl in under the dashboard to see all of that. So one more thing I need to do here. This pedal is way too far over that way at the moment. So it needs to sit maybe around here somewhere. So I would need to cut it and then make a new lever. I suppose you call it a lever. So that the pedal sits about here. I might have to make it a little bit longer. But yes, I know that will increase the travel distance. We'll have to see how all of that works out. I rigged up a seat quickly, just so I can get a feel for things here. Yeah, I won't be using these seats for this build. I think a nice set of bomber seats will do the trick. We will fabricate those somewhere in the future. And then I bent up a thin piece of flat bar and clamped it on. This is just to help me establish the shape of the lever I need. Because remember I said I need to offset it. Yeah, and working with a thin piece, it's just easier to bend and mess around with it until you're happy with this shape and the lengths and everything, and then I can use that as a template to make up the real one from some thicker material. Yeah, so sitting here in a proposed driving position, I can now mess around with this thing, decide where it needs to be, how it needs to be, and yeah, I've been messing around with it for quite a while now, but I think I'm pretty much there. Yeah, I think that's going to work for me. I'm going to take it off and make this out of some thicker material. So I used my pattern to then fashion this one here from what is this, 50 by 6 flat bar, 2 by 1/4, and it's turning out to be not much longer than the original one. Essentially we're just offsetting the position where the pedal will sit, which is going to be around here somewhere. So what I do to get nice sharp bends in the thicker stuff is I just cut halfway through it with a cutting disc, and then I bend it, and then I weld it up here. I've just given it 2 tacks here to go check it out. Yeah, and I've never had any problems with that. I mean, typically your weld is stronger than the rest of the material, so I don't have any issue doing this. And I mean, because of that cut, you get very good penetration as well. And that is what I have now. So I had to make a pie cut there, bend it a bit to get my ergonomics to work out, welded that up, all the other welds are done, and then here I just tacked on a bit of scrap for a pedal, just so I can go and test it, and then once I'm happy with everything, we can do something a little prettier here. So as you can see, it's bolted in at the moment. That was to just allow me to fine-tune it easy, because I could now sit in the seat and feel it and then decide now I want it a little bit more this way, take it out again, go bend it, fiddle with it, stick it back, and so on and on and on. And I did that quite a few times, but I think I'm quite happy now. I wanted to get this angle in a specific way that felt nice on my foot and all that sort of thing. Make sure the travel works out, and there we go. I think now I am finally satisfied. Just bolted like that actually feels quite strong, but I think I will weld it when I do final fitment. Well, since I am crawling around in this rusty hole, I might as well do something about a petrol pedal that needs to sit here somewhere. So I paged through my collection of treasures, and here hanging on this wall I found what I was looking for. A petrol pedal. No idea from what car this comes, but it's got to be something quite old. My mates in America calls it a gas pedal, and that's kind of strange to me. Yabba's gas is something that comes in a bottle that you do cooking with and things like that. LPG, liquid propane gas. So how about we call it a go juice pedal, then we're all on the same page. Okay, let's see. I think I can make this thing work, yeah? I need to attach those pillar blocks here, and then I must trim up a lever that goes up in there for pushing and pulling a accelerator cable. Yeah, something like this. I reckon that could work. So to make my life a little easier, I'm going to install a rev nut right here. Yes, that's gonna make my life a lot easier. I don't have to crawl around, try and hold a nut on the other side of the firewall and all of that. I actually love these things.
And then another one right here. Yeah, that's how my good mate Carl, a German dude, would have said it. Now I can bolt on my little spacer block that I need, like that.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
And then I had to weld in this bracket here to provide a mounting spot for this pillow block. But now my assembly can do its thing. And I've had to put in this spacer block here just to provide clearance for that lever there. And then I wire brushed the whole Go Juice pedal because I think it deserves it now. Now, next on the menu for me is to relocate this movement, this one, further up, because this is way too low. I need it up in there, and then I also need to turn it through 90 degrees. So I'm thinking bell crank, a tiny little bell crank. I need to dream up some linkages here. After scratching my head a little bit, this is my benchtop sketch of what I think will work. Yeah, I guess this is not exactly very clear. So let's convert this into a working model to prove the operation of this whole contraption that I got going here. So a little bit of forest engineering CAD work to make it real. A few bits of hardboard, a couple of nails. So now this bottom lever here, that is the existing one we have on the pedal assembly. It represents that one, right? Up here I've got my accelerator cable attached. So now if I step on the gas, vroom, vroom, vroom. Yeah, I think it's going to work. So to get the length of my levers, what I did was I went to the carburetor and I measured the travel required here to open the butterflies fully. And then I kind of worked it back, and it turned out to get enough travel here, the distance required here to open the carburetor completely, I had to make this lever from that swivel point to there about twice the distance that I have there. So if I made it shorter, I first had it here, I don't quite get enough travel, because you got to remember down here you only want a certain amount of movement on the pedal itself. You can't have more than I guess what you would say is acceptable. So I think this is going to work. Let's make it in steel, and then we can go and give it a try. Yeah, there's a hole in my pants. Better cover it up, or try to. Yeah, now you're going to have to listen to the ramblings of an old greybeard living in the forest. You might have noticed that I never used the word design. And there's a good reason why. There's so many guys out there that will say, I designed this and I designed that, and then they show you a simple bracket with a couple of holes on it. But now the definition of design is what? It is to decide upon the look and the function of an object by making a detailed drawing about it. A drawing that's good enough that you can give it to an artisan or a craftsman. You can read it, interpret it, and build that particular thing. So a thumbnail sketch or a, I don't know, just a little quick model or something, that is not design. That is maybe plotting, planning, scheming, dreaming, whatever you would like to say. Back in the day, decades ago, I did do some design, which was, of course, technical drawings, in my day still on pen and paper. I guess these days that doesn't exist anymore. Everything is done on computer. Lots of lines and dimensions and expansions and isometrics and what have you, different views, all of that stuff. This is not design. This is design. So yeah, I'm probably a bit pedantic about all this, but it is what it is. So here, I don't design stuff anymore. I just plot, plan, scheme, dream, whatever. Make little models, which works very well, and get it done.
Much later.
And so I spent some more peaceful me time all alone in my one-man shop, away from the madness of the world, to make all my required pieces. Which now looks like this when it's assembled. So this bracket here will bolt onto the firewall, and then the shaft of our pedal assembly goes in there. So we give gas, petrol. I think it's going to work. I found this throttle cable here in my stash. It's a little long, but we can always shorten it. What do you call this little thingy at the end of the cable? A bobbin or something, I don't know. But yeah, you can see here how it fits in a standard way. So that's just slipped in there. Let me see if I can take it out for you quickly, just so that you see how it goes in there. My big fat fingers must be in the way. There we go. So it's just two pieces of plate to create a gap there for the cable to go in. Yeah, like so. Yes, and in case you didn't know, the fancy name for an L-shaped lever like we have here is a bell crank, and its job is basically to turn the motion through 90 degrees. And then in this case we also played with the length of the levers to increase the travel of the cable here, like I explained earlier. My clever spins here, I think you call these things clever spins, right? That's just a bit of 6mm round bar. I welded a nut on and then just grinded it so that it looks nice. And then if you look carefully, I drilled a hole for a split pin. So now before some clever oak chirps about it, yes, of course you can build a setup using some impressive looking little ball joints, rose joints, rod ends, whichever term you prefer. I built this from scrap lying around in the shop, so it cost me nothing. Yes, of course it did cost my time. Now you have two choices there. You can either spend your time to earn money and then go buy the fancy shit. And let's face it, too many people are hating the time they spend to earn a buck. Or you can get creative, use your brains, and create something from nothing. And in the big picture, you know what, that gives meaning to life, at least to a sense of self-accomplishment and all of that stuff. We human beings are meant to be creative, man. So I reckon this is going to work just as well, if not better. Remember, chrome don't get you home, man. Well then, I guess it's time for me to put my money where my mouth is. Let's go and eat the pudding and find out if this thing works. Right, so I've got everything assembled now. Let's step on the gas and see what happens. Yes, looking good so far. If you look in there, you'll see I've got a temporary return spring hooked up just to make this work. Yeah, I would actually like a better spring than this one. So later on, when I can find the right one, we can make this more permanent. But this does the job for now. That shaft is it's too long now. We don't need that bit anymore, so we can cut that off when I take this out again. But this seems to be good. Let's go see what happens on the carburetor side of things. Here where the accelerator cable comes through the firewall, I had to make this little retainer clip to hold it firmly in place. And then I also fashioned this bracket right here for the other end of the cable. You can see that I've bolted it there to some spare holes on the inlet manifold. So that's not gonna go anywhere. Okie dokie, the moment of truth. Let's step on the gas. Hey, it's working. And it feels pretty good. I've put a weight on the pedal So it is completely floored, and I just want to make sure that the butterflies are fully open. Well, there's still a tiny bit of movement left. Let's have a look in here. You know what? The butterflies are completely open. That little bit is not going to make any difference. Yeah, this is good. I'm happy with it. And there's the weight off the pedal. And if I look in here, butterflies are completely closed. Yeah, that's good. I suppose you could take up a little bit more slack here by adjusting it. But yeah, this is going to work out just fine, man.
Yeah, so booster and brake pedal back in one more time to make sure everything is good. And then I was not too happy with this pedal, so I actually remade it. Yeah, sometimes you gotta do something twice to get it nice, but now I'm happy. So it all seems to be fine now. Got my petrol, my gas, I got my brakes. Last thing I want to do here, get rid of this piece of blue plate and do something nicer right there. So I made this to try and match the style of that old vintage pedal a little bit. It's a piece of 6mm 1/4 inch plate. Got some grooves into it with a grinder. So now I'm going to take that blue plate off and weld this on right there. Yeah, well, not an exact match, but it's not too bad, I reckon. Now I'm sure someone is going to probably say, why don't you do stop and go and write on them or something like that. But you know what? I don't need labels on my pedals. I know what they do. That one there is for whoopee. This one here is for oh shit. Alright, let's get back in the seat for my final test. Hopefully you can see. So you can see there's a nice resting space for my left foot. And then go, stop, no problem there. And I can also do the both foot thing if I want to. Yeah, feels good. Now, freaking hell, now that OCD thing is kicking in. I'm looking at that sharp corner there, and I'm thinking it will look a lot better if it was a nice rounded curve. No, I've spent enough time crawling around in this rust hole. Bugger that. I have now had enough of crawling in and out of that hole underneath the dashboard. And I am filthy. I tell you, if I take these pants home, I will be in such trouble with the swimbo. I will never hear the end of it. So I better hide them, and I don't know, maybe I can pressure wash them down the line or just chuck them away. So I think it's going to be a relatively short video, but I'm telling you, all of this took a lot of time. I didn't show much of the sort of finer fabrication stuff, but I got it done. I got brake pedals, I got accelerator pedal, go juice pedal, petrol pedal, whatever you'd like to call it. I'm happy. That's my story this time round. Thanks for hanging out with me. I enjoyed your company out here. So I will see you folks in the next video. Until then, as always, have a lucky one, my brothers and sisters.
Whatever makes you happy, it just depends on you. So think a little bigger and